Hello, YouTube!
QB999.
And the Kingpin of Cinema.
Overly dramatic.
It's better to be overly dramatic than not dramatic enough.
Not all the time.
Yeah, whatever. So anyhow, we're here to bring another movie review, one that we just got out of seeing today. One that me especially, was really looking forward to. And, not that good.
It's the Marvel or DC, because, you know, they're both the same.
They're not the same.
Marvel or DC's Green Lantern.
It's DC's Green Lantern.
Same difference.
It's not the same thing.
It's the same thing.
See, Marvel doesn't reboot its universe every 10 years, and pissing off everyone, especially me.
But Marvel works with Capcom.
Which is awesome.
Anyway.
We have the latest of Warner Brothers DC high-budget extravaganza movies. And like you got in the beginning, Green Lantern, I didn't quite like it.
It's not one of those movies that you absolutely hate when you think about, but it's also not a movie you particularly enjoyed. There's a lot of potential there.
Now, let's be clear, I don't hate this movie. It's not like Tron Legacy, that every time I start thinking about it, I need to murder someone. Maybe you, but I didn't like it. Now, Morgan Licious, on the other hand, she loved it. She couldn't wait to get in, and she left the theater
She was
being like,
person line.
she's like, I loved it, great, Hal Jordan, Ryan Reynolds, I love him.
And January Jones is the greatest actress
No,
ever.
that's not true at all. I knew it was gonna suck, and you guys are just so pissed off because I was right.
Anyway, Green Lantern, as any of you may or may not know, is in the same universe as Batman, Superman, and all the others.
I thought they were all the same.
Yeah, like I said, all the others.
Oh, anyhow, moving on. So,
What the story is, it's basically how the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan came to be.
it's your typical origin story. Okay, so the movie is going to be kind of bogged down about Hal getting the ring, overcoming his
Fear.
His own problems.
his anxiety about the responsibility of having these powers. You know, like, anything that's typical about an origin story to a superhero movie. You know, Iron Man, how he's dealing with the guilt and how his weapons killed people, oddly enough. Spider-Man, and how he fell at the one moment that he could have stopped a criminal, could have saved his uncle's life, you know.
You know, all irony.
Yeah, you know, all that stuff. So,
Anyway, the usual story, there's a bad guy. Well, the Green Lantern story, alien named Abin Sur, right?
yeah, correct.
Who's fighting an alien monster, gets drastically injured, goes to Earth, and basically his reign of power chooses Hal Jordan as his successor.
Yeah.
And from there, it's all Guns N' Roses.
You know, Guns N' Roses and Axl Rose, not in Guns N' Roses as in awesome. Here's the problem, and there are many problems to be had in this movie. According to Morgan Licious, because if I don't mention that she said this to me, then she will flip her shit and turn into the wrench.
Cite your sources.
Just like a woman.
And murder me. She had brought to my attention that this movie had cost more than The Dark Knight. And watching the movie, I don't see it. I don't see where all that money went.
Oh, that's all the CG animation, which basically borderlines into everything.
The very cartoony-looking CG. Here's the thing. When you have a movie that has a lot of fantastic elements into it, if you cannot sell your audience on these elements, you're going to lose them. And this is basically what one of the major things that happen in this movie. Every time you see, like, CG constructs where anything CG, it just looks so fake.
And it's kind of sad, too. It's like, there's movies where there's a lot of CG, and you know it's CG, but eventually it kind of wears out, and it doesn't really bother you as much. This is one movie where it's prominent all the way through, and you're completely aware of it. Because There's just so much of it. The fight scenes, the costumes, the aliens, everything possible is CG. I'm not even sure that was really Ryan Reynolds in it.
Yeah, there's so much CG in fact, one must wonder why not make the whole movie CG.
I mean, I know they're eventually trying to get up to a Justice League movie, but
I don't see this one being the starting off point for it.
yeah. And considering they're also going to reboot Batman.
And Superman. The next Superman movie's not even out yet. And they're already talking about rebooting it for a Justice League movie.
So they really need to get all their shit together.
Yeah.
And really, just overall, the movie summed up in a word would be boring.
Because
there's not a lot of action in it.
Because the CG doesn't sell you on anything. Another thing is about fantastic movies, especially when you have like a big monster or a big villain that's supposed to grip the audience with fear or menace. The movie falls flat on its face with both of those.
Of course, there's a giant monster in space.
Parallax.
That's just basically a big cloud. Think,
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, Silver Surfer fighting Galactus. You know, it's just...
The movie.
It's like a big cloud. And with a face this time.
Yeah.
And then, of course...
And it looks stupid.
A scientist on Earth gets infected with this yellow energy.
The yellow energy
and
of fear.
And you think he's going to become intimidating, but really, every time he came on screen, it just became weirder and weirder, and the audience just laughed at it every time he came on.
It's never a good sign when your audience laughs at your villain. Never.
It's like he has elephantitis, where his body just continually grows. First it's his head, and then he just kind of starts shuffling around, till finally, his final form is him in a wheelchair.
Now, granted, he has, like, psychic powers, like kinetic energy, where he's able to pick up things and toss them around. But he's so unthreatening, and the movie just, like, tries to build him up as, like, this major rival to Hal Jordan, but you never believe it. He's so weak. He has no screen presence at all.
It's just sad to see that.
Yeah.
It basically is like Hal Jordan's beating up a cripple. He's literally beating up someone in a wheelchair.
And then you got Parallax, this stupid, dumb cloud monster that's supposed to be threatening, though you honestly never really get an idea. Yeah, I guess it kills worlds or whatever, but...
It's killing worlds and all the people on it to become stronger.
But you never really see it, like, the actual world dying. Two of them happen off-screen. You kind of see one getting killed, but you really don't see it. Because it's in the atmosphere, and you see it kind of spreading around the world, and the Green Lanterns show up to fight it. But you never really see it, like, you know, the menace, the fear in the population as everyone's devoured by this thing. So you never get a sense of how threatening this thing is.
Really, what it comes down to is they needed to basically overhaul the story and do something different. We were talking about how the story should have been more like Green Lantern First Flight, the animated movie where Hal Jordan just joined the Corps, and he's paired with Sinestro, trying to find...
like I was saying that
the
main villain should have been Atrocitus, and he had just killed Ub and Sor. So then you get to see this mentor relationship with Hal Jordan and Sinestro, and you can kind of see that Sinestro's a bit on the dark side.
You know, kind of like...
Just like First Flight.
In First Flight, you kind of see Sinestro as being like Saren in Mass Effect, where, yeah, he's this great upholder of justice, but he's a real asshole about it. And he sometimes goes a little too far with it.
Yeah.
And, of course, at the end of this movie, you know, you see Sinestro take the one ring that they made from Sauron.
The one ring.
And put it on and become the first Yellow Lantern. But what the idea you get of him from this movie is that, why the fuck did he do that? You don't get the sense that he's a bad guy or anything. He's trying to teach this new Lantern, Hal Jordan, how to fight, but he doesn't really like him because he took his friend's ring. But you don't really see why he decided to go rogue.
Yeah, at no point in the movie do you see, like, you get any kind of connection between Hal and Sinestro. They have, like, almost no screen time together. So how do you build up for a sequel with zero drama between these two iconic characters? there's just none. You just don't know why he puts on the yellow ring, other than the fact that, yeah, he's a villain in the comics.
That's why we think First Flight storyline type would have been much better. First off, because you really get that sense of Sinestro being an asshole. You get that bond between Hal Jordan and Sinestro that gets broken and why they become such big rivals. Not to mention, you also get a chance to explore the galaxy a bit and go to new locations. Because
the biggest strength about the Green Lantern comics, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, and I'm not one of those fucking fanboys like, this movie runs Green Lantern, man. No. They just didn't get it right, because the biggest strength about the Green Lantern comics has always been about the core, and how you just got all these rich characters, and they're bopping around the universe, fighting crime and despots. You don't get anything like that in this movie. I mean, it's just...
It's either going between
Oa,
and also Earth. So you get one world that's completely overdone CG, and then you just get Earth.
And then Earth is boring.
Where it tells you, too, there's over, 4,000 different sectors of the universe?
Yeah.
And they couldn't show really any other ones.
You never, really see any other Green Lanterns doing Green Lantern job stuff. They tell you. Oh, this movie tells you a lot of things. But the difference is, you want to see it, not to be told these things.
Really, the main way this movie fails is that there's a lot they could have done that they simply just chose not to. Probably because all the budget went into Oa and creating that world and all the different aliens for 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah. It's like, we got, fan favorites like Kilowog, who trains Hal Jordan for all of, 5 minutes. Wouldn't it have been better if, Hal Jordan was on Oa for, months, and he's getting to meet different aliens, becoming friends with them, and you really get to see him train and work. No, we're going to have a 5-minute montage of Hal Jordan.
Not even a montage.
Yeah, it's just Hal Jordan's going to be like, I quit. And he goes back to Earth, but he still has the ring. I guess somebody had to fill out the paperwork.
It is very... There's a lot of scenes there that also didn't really do anything for the movie. There's this, of course, the one scene where they're deciding to use the Yellow Lantern ring that they made. Hal Jordan shows up and goes, no, don't do that. Come help me save my world. And they'll say... They basically just say, no, we're not going to help you, but you can go off and do it by yourself. Oh, thanks for your permission.
Yeah, basically that's how the scene boils down. You have this, I guess the movie is, setting up this pivotal moment where the Green Lantern Corps is going to cross the line and use the power of fear to fight fear, or some stupid shit like that. And then Hal Jordan's like, don't! I need your guys' help! And then he just basically just tell him fuck off. And he's like, okay, but don't do it. Don't put that ring on. You'll regret it later. It's okay, well, what was the point of that? There was none.
And I did find it kind of funny how he kind of shows up to his longtime friend, in costume, and she, recognizes him instantly.
Well, not quite instantly. They milked that as much as they could, because he's like,
He's talking like Batman.
He's trying to be like Batman, and she's like, oh my god, what? Hal? What the fuck? Because there's this moment where, Hal Jordan's, stops his helicopter from crashing into people, and he's, standing there, with that stupid little green mask of his, and nobody in the crowd is like, oh, hey, it's Hal Jordan! You can tell it's him!
For me, it's kind of like a Superman thing, where how the hell can no one connect the dots? But overall...
I didn't like it.
Not quite as far as hated, but not liking it. There's a lot of room for improvement.
A lot less Carol Ferris. A lot less, because anytime those two are together on screen, it's just like, Christ, move on.
Like I said before, underline summary of this movie, boring. Mostly because of those scenes with just the two of them.
I mean, even Hal Jordan's daddy issues, you never see him come to terms with it, where he's just fighting Parallax and he's just I beat you. You never see an internal thought of him looking at those moments when he sees his dad's dying, and then him kind of seeing him realize oh shit, none of that shit matters. What matters is that I beat you. No, he just beat you.
So hopefully, if they can get the okay to make a sequel...
But here's the thing, do we want a sequel?
If they can even get the budget to do one. Another thing, I kind of wish they would start do. Well, I don't even know if it's possible anymore with how many remakes they do, but you know how with all the Avengers movies, like Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, they always manage to like somehow incorporate the other movies so that they all tie into each other. These movies with Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all those, they don't. There's no reference to any other heroes in that world when they're all supposed to be in the same realm.
I do have an explanation for that.
Like him flying into space, he should have like looked over and go like, "Hey, Superman."
There is an explanation for that, but we would need a whole nother video for me to explain all of that.
Magic, got it.
We'll just go with that excuse. Oh boy, there's just so many other things I want to nitpick, but I don't know if I want to take the time to do it. I mean, you basically got the gist of it. The movie's not good. That's all that I can say. It's not good.
Needs a lot of work, not good. They really didn't do a whole lot with what they were given. They were given this great world to expand and show us, and they condensed it all into a little box.
Yeah, and they couldn't get, the hero's journey stuff kind of right either. And
if you want to see a good Green Lantern movie, just watch First Flight or the
Emerald Knights. Both of those Green Lantern movies are amazing.
They showcase the world perfectly, the characters perfectly, and also just an overall better story.
It's interesting to know, like, an animated movie that had 1/10 of the budget of this live-action one is 1,000,000 times better. Hell, Thor was 1,000,000 times better than this movie. And I liked Thor, don't get me wrong, but, man, I appreciate Thor even more after seeing this.
We do understand, with that kind of scale, CG is going to be required. But to rely solely on CG, I think, is a step in the wrong direction.
They tried to have it both ways, too, because they had some guys with prosthetics, which looked amazing, actual props that looked amazing, and then you got the CG costumes, which looked horrid.
So really, they need to go back a step and go back to the practicality of prosthetics and makeup. And maybe that would be a step in the right direction, but we'll see.
And try and get, like, Weta or Industrial Light and Magic to do your CG. I think Sony did this, and it just does not look good.
Get Square Enix.
Hey! Sure, why not?
Not like they have a movie company anymore.
Well, thanks for tuning in and listening to our bit of a rant. Or I think I like to call it an honest take on a very flawed film. But thanks for tuning in and watching. I hope you guys go out and see it, and hopefully you like it. Post some comments. Tell me what you know or what you think. Because I like to see other people's opinions.
And then make fun of them.
Don't call me a fucking retard, because I'll just remove it. No, just go ahead. It's funny.
And as always, if you don't like it, white power!
Black power!